I don't think a lot of these people realize how fast you can climb and how fast you can fall. So not having the mental stability to understand, like he said, getting paid six figures for a show and that going to five figures or four figures, you can't really process you they kind of equate that to their worth of a person, right? Like you go from, oh, well, I used to be valued at six figures, now my value is four. And so you're riding that wave of I used to be more valuable. And then like Sherelle was explaining, you go down this road of let me numb or figure out ways to be more creative. Or I mean, we know drug usage is rampant within rock and roll in the 70s, right?
Any
From Jimi Hendrix being on heroin to, Marvin Gaye, to all of these different artists in the 70s within R&B and rock and roll, letting drugs fuel their creativity as well as it being an outlet, right, to everything, all the pressures of the music industry, to Ray Charles, right? So when we realize
everybody,
that,
all of
yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing has changed from the 70s to 2024. The only thing
it's
that's changed is the promotion of the drug uses, right? Ray Charles wasn't saying, get you a needle out, wrap your arm up, and shoot up. In 2024, Future is saying Molly and Perk, Perks and Molly, Molly and Perk in the music. That is the difference between the time because they were doing it on the
I want
low
to.
within the industry. But go ahead, Law.
Hold on, Law. Hold on. Let me just read this real
I was
quick.
gonna say. Oh,
Hold
you
on. Let
got
me
it.
read this. So,
Yeah.
how do drugs affect the brain? Why can't they just stop using? Just like we turn down the volume on the radio that is too loud, the brain adjusts the
Mm-mm.
drugs by turning down its ability to receive signals. As a result, the brain reward circuit of a person struggling with addiction is abnormally low. They feel flat, lifeless, and depressed. They are unable to enjoy things they used to. They need to keep taking drugs so they feel normal, which only makes the problem worse because the brain is learning to tolerate the drugs. The person will take larger amounts to produce the same result. And changes last long after use. Stopping drug use doesn't immediately return the brain to normal. Some drugs have toxic effects that can kill neurons, and most of these cells will not be replaced. And while changes to connections between neurons in the brain may not be permanent, some last for months. Some research suggests the changes may even last for years. Long lasting brain changes can make it challenging for addicts to stay drug free. They often experience intense cravings, leading to relapse. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm so happy you just posted that, Labeef. Okay. Let me say this. Even down oh my gosh, God is good. I'm so happy somebody needs to hear this, right? So when I had my daughter, all right, I'm an extremely disciplined person, right? I'm a person who I've been an athlete all my life, always physically fit, always trained, multiple sports, senior class president, captain of the dance team, all of that. Like every extremely disciplined, extremely driven, all of that. Having a child rocked my world, right? Okay. Postpartum anxiety set in because issues with nursing and breastfeeding, going back and forth to the lactation specialist, all of this stuff. My OB said, oh my gosh, you have postpartum anxiety. You need antidepressants. I said, the hell I don't, because you know what? On Netflix, I watched a special about what antidepressants do to your brain, right? So right now we're talking about opioids and all these other drugs. Like Trev said, drugs, period, you guys, will change your brain chemistry and it will stop the production of natural hormones and things that you have in your brain. Me being an athlete my entire life, endorphin, serotonin, I know that my body naturally produces those things. That's why I love to work out. when I read about the medication that my doctor said, hey, you have postpartum anxiety, won't you take this? I go type, look it up. It says everything that my brain already produces from working out, from sex, from all these other things naturally, that antidepressant will replace that production and give it to my brain not naturally, but what? In a fraudulent way, from an artificial way. Once my body takes in artificial hormones that my brain and body produces naturally, guess what happens to my brain? Because I'm getting artificially those same endorphins and serotonin, my brain will now stop producing the same things, right? So my personality, me waking up with a natural love of life, all of that will go out because then I'm now taking pills that's pumping that into my body and not in a natural way. So once you change your brain chemistry, you have to understand all of these recreational drugs and opioids, it changes your brain chemistry. You are not the same. Sure, you are a zombie. You are not the same person. You cannot revert back to what science and chemistry is. Our brains are the most powerful things in our body, and it's also the most sensitive. It can change and never revert back. A child learns the most from newborn to 4 years old. That's why they say under the age of 4, before kindergarten, teach your kid math, teach your kids languages, because you think, oh, the child just walking around. Their brain can actually absorb all of that. It can absorb from 0 to 4. So you thinking that a drug cannot destroy it? We have to educate. If you have children, guys, if you are a teacher, educate yourself on what drugs can do to the brain. That whole this is your brain on drugs. That whole what is that? Ronald Reagan's wife that did the cracked egg and
Their program.
Yeah. All of those commercials.
Just say
Yeah,
no.
it was like the watered down
Say no.
version of what's really going on, y'all. But once you put that stuff in your body, it's a done deal. It's done.
So I'm sold on that, and I'm glad y'all are so experienced with a lot of this stuff. So is it safe to say that we could label hip hop artists who promote drug dealing,
Right.
especially to their own people, and just people who sell them? Is it safe to say that those people are anti-black?
Definitely.
I would say I want to speak against that. You know what I'm saying? That's something I want to kind of speak against when we start talking about. I don't think it has anything to do, honestly, with the type of music. Drugs have been rampant in music since music was a thing, right? When you look at one of the greats, Michael Jackson, yeah, he died from a drug overdose. You dig what I'm saying? A toxic mix of drugs, sleeping pills, and also opioids. You can name a whole host of them. Drugs have been rampant, in
And
music
Prince,
since the
opioids.
beginning.
Amy Winehouse.
Right. So it's one of those things where exactly, it doesn't matter if you rapping about it, they still sing about it. They may not have said it explicitly like Future may have, but they make full songs about it. You know what I mean? They'll try and dress it up, put lipstick on it, but it's still singing about the drugs. So I don't want us to get into the whole. My thing is when people start saying, oh, it's the hip hop culture doing it. No, that's not true. I think it's the fact of these are people expressing themselves, right? Based on the things that they're going through and the drugs that they're doing. That does happen. We see that quite often. But I don't want it to be like, oh, it's the music that's driving it, because I'm gonna keep it real. Without the music, y'all think people gonna still do drugs?
Why you don't want it to be like that?
I could tell you why. Because I mean, I spent some time in the music industry.
Hold on.
Can you answer that? You don't want hip hop is associated or black. Somebody argue that black people is the group that keeps hip hop thriving. We the ones that the music is for. So if the artists know this, that we're the ones who listen to them and we're inspired by them, our children are. and they know what drugs do to people, just like we do, and they promote it, and some of them sell it. You're saying you don't want that to be associated with anti-black. Why?
No, I'm saying that it's not fair to make that the thing, because it's not just our music that and our people that suffer from drug abuse, right?
No, but I'm talking
the only
about
reason opioids became
hip-hop.
hold on. The only reason opioids became an issue in America is because it started affecting these white kids the way it has been, crack has been doing us. So that's when they made it an issue, opioids, right? So now we want to have the war on drugs and all that because it's affecting them just as much, if not more. You also have to look at the different genres of music. This white kids dying all the time from these drugs, period. You know what I'm saying? Rock, they was doing it first, to be honest. You know what I mean? That is a prevalent thing in music, regardless of the culture. The only thing is they demonize black music as much as they can.
I understand that I understand it exists in all genres of music. Well, what I don't want to happen is you kind of like all lives matter, my Black Lives Matter just then. I'm talking specifically about our people. Let's take everybody out of it. If you and I know as a black people, or we promote, hey, black excellence and black empowerment, or we need to change. But in one hand, we're selling drugs on our people. What does that say? How do you interpret that? You don't see that as, hey,
to
look,
me, I feel like
I haven't counted. We can't hold our own people accountable. Or is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is let's not. I don't want to demonize the creative process of artists because we feel a certain way about it. Regardless if we're singing about it or not, that shit still is going to happen.
So you want us to praise their creative ability, but you don't want to. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
I didn't necessarily say I want to praise it, but I don't want to make that the reason why it's happening. You feel me? I don't feel like that's the reason why it's happening.
Why don't you want us to own our own destruction of our people?
So do you think that the reason that people are doing drugs is because of the music, or are people making music about doing drugs because they're already doing it? Which one came first, the chicken or the egg?
Okay, I would answer it this way. I think most people who do drugs in the black community are inspired by people who do them, or they're influenced by people who do them. And if that's a person that's a family member or a person behind a microphone. So I'm saying, let's point the accountability out. Can we as a black people who get on here every day in front of a microphone and say, we need reparations, we need this, we need love, we need family. Can we sit here and look in the mirror and say, hey, look, we need to use shame. We need to say, hey, look, you got to stop doing this. I think Casey took accountability very well when she stated that one of her favorite songs from Future was about drugs. And she kind of felt like the irony in that. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying, can we collectively do that?
Bruiser, do you drink?
I plead the fifth.
Come on, man. We got to be honest.
I plead the fifth. Who you
asking?
Bruiser.
I plead the fifth. You can ask somebody else to make your point.
All right. Well, I'm assuming by pleading the fifth, you're saying that you do. Why do you do it?
No, that's not accurate. That's not what pleading the fifth is.
Well, typically people who plead the fifth don't want to incriminate themselves.
No, that's inaccurate too. You can't use typically either, because typically means that it's an absolute thing. That